Welcome to Wealth, Words, and Wisdom, where real life conversations lead to financial clarity. I'm Ashley Carter alongside my co host, Kari Boatner. In this conversation driven podcast, we talk about real life topics like parenting, marriage, business, faith, and leadership, all things that naturally lead into deeper discussions about financial understanding, long term planning, and wise stewardship. Get ready for some honest discussions about money, responsibility, and the choices that shape our future. Let's get into today's conversation. So excited that you have joined us today for our very first podcast at Wealth, Words, and Wisdom. We look forward to many episodes with you, and we hope that you learn so much along the way. Most people think that their biggest financial challenge is not having enough money. And I feel like in today's time where we are, that hits for a lot of people.
It really does, Ashley. But you know what's really funny is it's rarely about having more money. It's really about what our thought processes are about money, what is our view about money, and what is our own decision making that we have when we do have money.
That's right. And, we often see people making financial decisions under a lot of pressure. So that not feeling like you have enough money causes a lot of pressure. People make decisions without clarity, without alignment for their future, and without
Mhm.
really understanding how their financial decisions are affecting their whole life.
It really does. You know what I find really interesting too, Ashley? I don't know if you're aware of this thing, but they say that actually in the Bible, that the Bible actually addresses money even more that it talks about salvation. And we know that whole Bible is about our salvation, but it really talks about money more than anything because, God knew in his infinite wisdom that money was going to play such a huge role in our life. And so I'm excited that we're having this podcast because, not just about money and financial solutions that we can help guide people in. A lot from our positive experiences, but honestly, a lot from our negative experiences too. But I'm excited that we're going to be able to share that with people and help them have more peace of mind moving forward in their life. Because a lot of people don't even have a roadmap. I can speak from my own personal experience. I didn't have one.
So, before we go any further, let's share a little bit about who we are and why we felt called to start this podcast, Wealth, Words, and Wisdom. I'll let you take it away, Carrie.
Is it because I'm older? Just kidding. Yes, I'll go first. So, my name is Kari Boatner, and I live in Buford, Georgia. I'm actually a native of Daytona Beach, Florida. I have a formal education, got a bachelor's degree from a very prestigious college here in Daytona. I worked in government contracting with Lockheed Aeronautical Systems for quite a few years. I had some experience in modeling and also in running a medical manufacturing company. And honestly, I just have a smattering of experience. And for the last 35 years, I have been a entrepreneur, a soulpreneur. I've owned my own business. I'm doing clinical tattooing. And 16 years ago, this past October, I was blessed to become a mom of twin boys. And that was a life changer, radically a life changer. And at that time, actually, it was my second marriage. And I've made some decisions along the way. I'm thankful for those children. But in the course of that marriage, experienced a lot of financial pitfalls and found myself leaving Daytona 5 years ago, moving to Buford, Georgia, leaving a very established business to start over with my kids. Because sometimes in life, you know what, you just need a restart. I got a restart, but that also brought along with it a lot of financial challenges, raising these kids by myself in every aspect and trying to make a go of it in a new community at 60 years of age. So I just have really struggled. Struggled financially, struggled emotionally, struggled, parenting alone, got a man in the house. So I feel like, as you and I have talked, Ashley, there's so much life experiences between the two of us. Although we are living in two totally different parts of the country, there's so much that we have in common. And so I'm excited about this podcast. I'm excited to teach people and share with them through some of my bad decisions and some of my great decisions, and really partnering with you in this, not just in this podcast, but just in life, what that's added to me in helping me make better decisions moving forward, that iron sharpening iron type of thing. Anyway, so I still, owning my own business, and we can talk more about it later, but added 2 other streams of income to my day and to my portfolio just to play catch up really. So anyway, that's about me. How about you, Ashley? Share with them all the wonderful things about you.
Well, hearing all of your successes, Carrie, and all the things you've done in life, I mean, I always feel like I'm behind and I've got a lot of catching up to do. And for those of you who are only listening by audio to this podcast and you can't see video, let me tell you, Carrie does not look 60. She is absolutely beautiful. But, when we met, Carrie, one of the things that I really noticed about you was how successful you seemed as an entrepreneur. And that's one of the things that drew me to you so much because I'm always trying to level up my life and surround myself with successful, strong people. And so I'm excited for what this podcast is going to do and how it's going to help people because I feel like that we both have so much to share
Mhm,
that's really gonna be able to improve people's not only their finances, but just their lives in general, because I know
mhm.
that you push me every day, and I'm just excited for what we're gonna bring. But a little bit about me. I'm Ashley Carter. I live in a little town in Tennessee, and I am married, been married for 15 years. I have 3 children, just had, a little girl 5 months ago. I've also got a 9-year-old little girl and a 12-year-old son. We live on a farm. We've got lots of farm animals. We just had a new little baby calf today. So exciting, which I'm a little worried about because it's really snowy and icy outside. So praying she's good. But we've got cows and chickens and goats and horses. And sometimes we have pigs and just living the life here. And for years, we've just lived on one income, which has been really, really hard. And so, learning about all these financial strategies that we are going to get to share with people has
Mhm.
really changed our lives. And I think I'm going to tell this story a little bit later in the podcast about why I am so excited to share about this because it's changed our lives so much. And I just feel like this obligation to help other people and hopefully change their lives the way that these financial strategies have helped us.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, Ashley. That's so good. So, between the two of us, we have spent years sitting across the table from other business owners, from families, from friends, and we continue to hear the same message over and over again that people aren't prepared. And they really, like mentioned earlier, people are really missing a roadmap. Take from just like Google, you get in your car with Google Maps, you know where you're currently at. In order to get to where you want to go, you have to enter in an address. And so that is one of the things that I feel like we're really going to be able to help people with, Ashley. I know learning about financial products and having a plan has made a significant difference just in my own outlook of where my future lies.
Yeah. And people are raised to think a certain way about money.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have lots of strong opinions about where that comes from. I don't know how deep we wanna get into this on this podcast, but I feel like
Go deep, Ashley.
a lot of that comes from the government because they want you to believe a certain thing because they want access to your money.
Mm,
So, people are raised to think a certain way about money because this is what they're taught, because this is what their parents were taught. And I find not only in finances, but a lot of life, people don't think a lot for themselves.
mm,
It's so easy to just go along with what you think that it should be because that's what your parents before you did and their parents before them did. And so I'm really excited for us to share a lot of different new things on this podcast that is going to really change and shape the way that people think about hopefully not just finances, but all of life. And I feel like a lot of times we hear the same stories over and over. People feel like they should be farther ahead, or they're afraid of making the wrong money moves, and they don't really understand how money works.
Yeah, you know what the challenge with that is, Ashley, and you said it twice. You used the word afraid and fear. And, those are never good motivators. And fear and being afraid is what actually causes people to just go and blindly, and I'm not downing financial advisors, but it's what causes people to just go, you know what, I don't have the time to learn about this. I'm just going to pay this person a percentage of all of my money and let them manage my money without them actually being educated. And fear is never a good motivator. It leads you down a very bad path, almost like a path
Yeah.
of desperation. It's a bad place to be.
That's right. So without clarity, people make the wrong decisions. And
Mhm.
so I feel like that's what we're here for is to try to provide a clear path to show people a different way. And I mentioned that I feel like the government plays a big part in how we think about things, but also it's oftentimes greedy people who have a big, huge platform and they're teaching something just as a way to make money off of people.
Self-serving, very self-serving.
Yeah. So I'm excited that we're here for a totally different reason.
Yes.
And we get to share from our hearts about how to help people change their lives and make safer decisions.
Yep. Remove that veil for sure.
Okay, Carrie, do you remember the day we were on the phone and I was like, hey, Carrie, let's start a podcast?
Yes, I do, Ashley Carter. I was scared to death. Listen, I remember and some of the things that we have decided to do have scared me to absolute death. Like, that scared me because I have a fear of failure, which has limited me quite a bit in my life. But, when you partner up with somebody as smart as you and creative as you, and I just love you anyway. Yeah, I remember the day. I remember the day.
Well, that day is going to go down in the history books, Carrie Boatner. So I would love for you to share with us why you wanted to be a part of this podcast. So when I said, hey, Carrie, let's start a podcast. And in your mind, you never backed down. You never questioned it or said, oh, I don't know about that. You instantly were like, okay. So in your mind, what were you thinking that this would become? Why did you want to do this?
Well, there's a couple things. Number one, I'm on the phone with you every day anyways. What's one podcast? I mean, we've been on the phone sometimes for 4 and 5 hours at a time. And adding another thing to my plate, quite honestly, was quite intimidating. But what I do know is that you're in my life for a reason. And I know that the Bible says that one can set 1,000 to flight, but two can set 10,000 to flight. And so doing things together is always attractive. And I know it's going to cause me to grow because you always seem to push me too. You think I push you, but you push me. And quite sincerely, Ashley, being at the stage of my life where I'm at, you and I are, very different age brackets. And the truth is that we have to allow every test and every trial in our life to become a testimony. And if we don't share the things that we have gone through, the obstacles that we have overcome, then it's not gonna glorify God. And, I know that you and I are of the same faith, and I always want my life to be a testimony of his goodness and just to encourage other people. If I walked up to a hole and you were in the bottom of a pit and you said, "Get me out of this pit," if I jumped in the pit with you, that would not do you any benefit. But if I stood on top of that hole and said, "Here, let me give you a hand. Let me tell you where to put your foot. Let me tell you where to put your hand to climb out of that pit," then I
Mhm.
will have been able to help you get out of the pit too. So that is really my thing. I don't ever want the tests and trials that I've been through in this life, and I've been through a lot of them. I don't want them to have been in vain. I want them to be able to bless someone else and give them the opportunity to learn. I mean, that's what I do as a parent, right? That's what you do as a parent. We say don't put your hand on the hot stove. So that's why I wanted to do it. I don't want it to all be for nothing. And if I can spare someone some of the poor decisions that I've made or show someone how to make better decisions at a younger age, like you're way ahead of the game than I am, Ashley, but it doesn't matter. It's never too late. It's never too late to start over. And I'm excited about this podcast, but I'm also just excited about some of the decisions that we're making financially as friends, encouraging each other, teaching each other, but then, teaching our kids those same qualities. How about you? Tell me your
Oh,
reason.
let me just touch on real quick. You're talking about, being able to share this with our kids. And it's been so exciting. I homeschool. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier about who I am, but I am a homeschooling mama, and it is so fun to get to share these financial ideas and concepts with my own children and teach
Mhm.
them something totally different than what I was ever taught. Not because my parents were trying to keep something from me, but because my parents didn't know about this stuff. And so I'm
Right.
getting to teach my parents things, but I'm also getting to teach my children things. And so that's been really exciting. Let me also say, how good is God that He allowed our paths to cross
Yeah.
and allows people to come into your life that you didn't even know you needed. And you can never see when you meet this person how much they're going to change your life, but you can look back and say, wow, thank you, God,
Mhm.
for crossing my path with this person. And you're that person for me. So, for me personally, one of the biggest reasons that I felt called to start this podcast, and, I've actually thought about starting a podcast for years. And you mentioned that word fear, and it's something new. So it can be scary. But
Mhm.
I really felt this sense of responsibility, almost like an obligation to share what I have learned about financial strategies that can actually help families grow and protect their money,
Yeah.
not only during their working years, but also into retirement. And I'm going to share a little example. So, if you think about somebody going and buying some ice cream for their kids, and they go up to this ice cream truck and they're gonna pay $10 for this ice cream. Well, what if you knew that just around the corner, they could actually get that same exact ice cream for their kids for free?
Mhm.
You would not be able to keep that to yourself. You'd say, "Hey, go around the corner. You don't even have to pay for that ice cream. You can get it for free."
Yeah.
And that's honestly how this feels for me. I've learned about so many new financial strategies, and not new in the financial world, but new to me.
Right.
Time tested, strong strategies. They allow people to access their own money without paying interest to somebody else. It's some
Mhm.
strategies that help families be able to keep more control of their money,
Right.
reduce unnecessary cost and fees and taxes, and to
Yes.
be able to create more flexibility both now and later in life. So,
Yeah.
once I saw those things and was introduced to these new concepts, it's really hard for me not to feel like I just have to share it with everybody. So,
That's right.
it's not that I'm trying to convince somebody or talk somebody into something. It's just this real strong desire because I can see how it can change people's lives. Because, like we talked about in the beginning, people feel like that they're struggling so much because they don't have enough money. And really, we're over here saying it's not about how much that you have, it's about what you do with it.
That's
And
exactly
so
right.
I just really want to be able to show people that there's better options than what they've always been told is normal.
Yeah. And you know what the thing is too, Ashley? It's not, I like to say it's not rocket surgery. It's not that hard, but people think that it is because of these big companies and all the fees and all of the things that all these other companies charge. It seems like it's got to be so hard. And it's actually incredibly simple. So we're on the right path for the right reasons.
Agreed. So, Carrie, we mentioned the phone call where I made the big question, do you want to start a podcast? Well, that particular phone call, we just dove right in. We start deciding what we're going to call it. We're going to start making plans. We get all excited. So, let's talk a little bit about the name, wealth, words, and wisdom, because that is so very intentional.
Well, actually, because wealth isn't just something that you build with money. It really has everything to do with the words that you speak, the words that you hear, the conversations that you have, the people you surround yourself with. There's a whole lot more to wealth than just that simple little money thing.
That's right. And the words that you hear about money really shape your beliefs.
Yeah, and your beliefs are going to shape your actions, and then your actions are going to trickle down into consequences or, your victories or your defeats. So, using that wealth and then our wisdom, that's really going to be important. And the other thing too, because I always like to bring the Bible into something, When we look at the words part of our podcast, the Bible says that we are the prophet of our own life. And, for wisdom, it says we are destroyed for a lack of wisdom. So praise the Lord. We have all three.
That's right. We sure do. So these beliefs we have drive our decisions, and then those decisions compound over time. So it's not just one decision that shapes everything, it's decision after decision after decision.
Almost like compound interest,
That's right.
the eighth wonder of the world.
We love talking about compound interest.
Yeah, Albert Einstein said it's the eighth wonder of the world, and he was really brilliant. So crazy hair, but he was brilliant.
Yep, and me talking about being a homeschool mom, my son has recently learned the difference in simple and compound interest, and so
Really?
so we've been able to have a lot of really fun discussions about that.
Nice.
Okay, so let's talk about what our listeners can expect going forward. So every
Mhm.
episode will start with some type of real life conversation. Sometimes it'll be something deep, sometimes not so much. Maybe something about parenting, marriage, faith, business, responsibilities.
And then we're actually going to incorporate into that wisdom behind those different situations. And there might be some patterns that you can recognize in your own behavior or in others, and some mistakes that you may want to avoid, and give you some better questions to ask because they say the quality of the answer is dependent on the quality of the question. So we're going to help you with that too.
And finally, we'll connect those conversations to long term financial thinking. No pressure, no hype, and no complicated language that people don't understand.
And our goal is always going to be to help produce clarity before you take action in any way.
That's right. So, Carrie, if there's one thing that you hope people take away from today, what is that?
Well, it actually comes from finding peace and financial peace in your life. It doesn't actually come from chasing the next move or from chasing money. It's going to come from understanding the why behind the decisions that you make. We are so thankful that you joined us today on our podcast, and we look forward to providing you with greater information in the future and coming along this journey with us. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to Wealth, Words, and Wisdom. Our goal is simple. It's to help you approach financial decisions with clarity, confidence, and with intention. Because we know that when wisdom leads the way, your money decisions will feel less overwhelming and far more aligned with your real life. Until next time, remember, wealth grows where wisdom leads.